Thank you very much for the invitation. Before to start talking about Ecoalf, which probably a lot of you don't know, it's a young Spanish company, I would like to give a few facts because sometimes it's important because I think we don't really realize what's going on with the amount of waste we're creating in the world. So basically there's over 500,000 million plastic bags which are used every year. The problem is not that. The problem is that 80% has less than 30 minutes spam life. There's over 650,000 tons of discarded fishing nets in the bottom of the oceans. Some people don't know, but fishing nets, it's a huge waste. Unfortunately, fishermen have been changing those nets every 5-6 years. They had to pay to leave them in the ports. I mean, a lot of those nets are very big, so they've been throwing them to the bottom of the ocean. Only the last study in the North Sea, they claimed to be over 20,000 nets. Okay, and those nets are creating a lot of impact, especially with marine life. 75% of the trash is in the bottom of the ocean. People don't know it. People think it's in the surface, but unfortunately it's in the bottom of the ocean. So you don't see it, but every time a bottle doesn't have a cup, it goes down, and aluminum goes down, everything goes down. Okay, for you to get an idea, a crystal bottle will take over 700 years to disappear, plastic bottle over 450, a can over 200. This is worrying. I mean, I was visiting 2 factories of natural dyes in India a few months ago, and from Bangalore to these natural dye factories, it was over 3 hours, and all the 3 hours I had waste left and right. The problem is that that waste is probably going to be seen by my grandson, because if somebody doesn't do anything about it, that waste will still be there in 400 years. Okay, I always put this because I received like a phone call, like a year and a half from a lawyer from the European, well, it was a lawyer from the plastic lobby in the European community, and said, Javier, you speak very bad about plastic. And I said, no, I don't speak bad about plastic. I speak bad about the usage of the plastic. So if you have to use plastic to make a window of PVC, which has to last for 300 years, then it's perfect to use plastic. The problem is that we're using plastic for products which have a spam life of 30 seconds. So sometimes you go to a gym and you see somebody drinking and they use 8 cups like this. Oh, they drink, they throw, they drink, they throw. But unfortunately, all those things don't end up where they have to end up, no? For example, this for me is a huge example of misusage of the plastic. You go to a market in the US right now and practically it's all like this. We're too lazy. So we've taken the natural packaging and we're putting plastic in top. But those are millions and millions of plastic containers every day, no? There's over 200,000 million plastic bottles which are not collected every year. People claim it's much more than this. Probably you've heard about these gyres in the ocean. First they started talking about one in the Pacific, which is like 2 times the size of Spain. Then it was 3, then it was 5, then it was 7. I had the chance to see one in the Gulf of Thailand a few months ago, which is not very big, but it's about 8 miles by 11, but when you see it, it's really impressive. And the bad thing about that one in the Gulf of Thailand is that it wasn't microplastic like this, it was big plastic. You had the sensation you could walk on top of it, okay? And the problem with those gyres, it comes and it disappears. It comes and it disappears, depending on the currents, no? But the problem with the other ones I was talking about is that unfortunately it's not plastic anymore, it's microplastic. And that microplastic is being eaten by the fish. Okay, so last studies claim, well, a few weeks ago in Copenhagen, what they said, it was nearly 60% of the fish right now has plastic inside. Okay, I'm not brave enough to put that, I'm just saying 1/3. But obviously this is getting more and more dangerous. And that plastic is creating a lot of problems. Okay? As Ellen MacArthur Foundation says, by 2050, there will probably be more plastic than fish in the ocean. Imagine, we are right now 8 billion people. We're 150,000 more people every day. Only India last year was 42 million more people. So 2 billion more people here in the next 30 years. That means the amount of waste is going to grow up over 30%. And plastic is probably the waste which is growing faster. Okay, this is Los Angeles, claimed to be the most sustainable city in the US, 2015. That photograph is from 2015. This is Sidon, 48 kilometers from Beirut, a place where they've been bombing for the last 40 years. So people started putting all the waste near the ocean. Unfortunately, that's a huge mountain. Those two guys you see over there are on top of 1.5 meters of waste. But the problem is that that waste doesn't stay there. Every time the wind blows, that's coming all the way. It's all in the Mediterranean. That's why the Mediterranean also has a huge problem. It's probably one of the most polluted oceans right now in the world because it's like a big swimming pool. You have a very little space to take waste out by Gibraltar, but we have over 150 million people living in the coast and 200 more million people in the summer. So it's a terrible problem we have in the Mediterranean. This is Hawaii. They claim it's happening twice per month. This is a place in the Atlantic Ocean. Somebody decided it was a great place to leave the used tires. It's over 18 kilometers long. Okay, for you to get an idea, every minute there's one garbage truck of 16 tons pouring into the ocean. That's 200,000 every day. That's 8 million tons every year. Okay, so I could keep on giving facts. I have another presentation which is much more dramatic, but I don't want it to be too dramatic, so I brought the soft one. Okay, but I think there's also solutions and there's way to do things, and I don't think we have to be pessimistic. The only thing is I think we have to start taking action. Okay, and that's why one of the reasons why Ecoalf was created. It was created in 2010. Our goal was to create a truly sustainable fashion brand. We believe the most sustainable thing was not to keep on using natural resources. So recycling could be a solution if we're able to make like a new generation of recycled products with the same quality and design as the best non-recycled. That way we could demonstrate there's no need to keep on digging deeper and deeper to get petrol, but we can transform what other people call waste into polymer, yarn, fabric, and products. Okay? Basically, we recycled 6 different types of materials: plastic bottles, discarded fishing nets, used tires, post-consumer coffee, post-industrial cotton, and wool. Okay? The problem when we went to the market in 2010, the problem is that we didn't find cool recycled fabrics. The fabrics were only recycled in a small percentage, 15, 18, 20% of the content was recycled, but they were not very fashionable. So Ecoalf had to start developing the fabrics. We have developed over 300 fabrics in the last years, recycled from all these kinds of materials. Basically, everything you're going to see here, it's 100% recycled from waste. For you to get an idea, we need like around 60 plastic bottles to create 1 meter of fabric, so that's why that down jacket is around 80 plastic bottles. Okay, discarded fishing nets, okay? Basically, we only recycle the nets which are nylon 6.6, which is the best quality polyamide you can get in the world. So for you to get an idea, for example, from an old fishing net to one of those fabrics, it's 7 chemical steps. From petrol to that same fabric, it's 17 chemical steps. So it's half of the steps. That's why there's so much save in water, energy, and emissions, because at the end of the day, it's half of the steps. But we get to the same thing. When we started, they said we weren't going to be able to do those light fabrics to make down jackets. We are exactly in the same amount of light as with virgin petrol, exactly the same. It's just been a matter of investing and time. Okay, I think through fishing nets, I think we have developed over 80 different fabrics with different textures, and we keep on developing. Okay, recycled used tires. This was the first project we started in Spain, because one of the things that Ecoalf does, we never move the waste around. Okay, so if we recycle the nets in Korea, we make till the final product in Korea. If we recycle the used tires in Spain, then we make till the final product in Spain. We started a project with a company which is responsible for recycling all the used tires in Spain. I contacted them because I wanted to do the outsoles of our sneakers. But finally, we decided to make a project which is a flip-flop. It looks like a simple project, but it received like 4 innovation prizes. It took us 20 months. We worked with the Technological Center of the Shoemaking in the north of Spain. And All the innovation prizes was given because we don't use any conglomerates, no glues. Everything is done by heat. I don't know if you've seen a tire inside, but it has textiles, it has metals, it has oxidants. So it's very handmade. We clean up those wheels, we convert it into powder, and then everything is done by heat without any conglomerates, no glues. Coffee. Okay, we have an agreement with this big cafeteria chain in Taiwan, in Taipei. We get the leftovers of the coffee every morning, the humid compound. Then we dry them out, we convert them into powder, and we mix them with polymers from plastic bottles. What's the good thing about coffee? That we don't have to give, through chemicals, certain properties. So it's fast drying, it's UV protection, it's auto control, and all that is given by the coffee in a natural way. Probably our most technical jackets come from coffee. And cotton. I mean, cotton, people don't know, but cotton is not very sustainable. You need 2,500 liters of every kilo of cotton you produce in the world. Okay? I don't know if you've seen the film of Isabel Coixet about the Aral Sea, but it was really depressing, no? How it dried out in less than 2 years when the Russians decided to give water to the cotton plantations in Kazakhstan. It dried out. Okay? So, and unfortunately, a lot of cotton plantations right now are in countries like Africa or India, where we're taking the water they need out of them and we're giving it back full of chemicals. It's a very big problem. So what's the benefits of recycled cotton? Recycled cotton, we can get the leftovers of the factories or the cotton you throw away. We mix it up and we get a very short and even an unstable thread. Not easy to work with, quite unstable. Better for men's qualities, t-shirts, sweatshirts, pants. More complicated for women's qualities, which need to be thinner, more transparent, exactly, because the yarn is very short. So it's a bit more complicated. But I think there's a lot of leftovers of cotton in the world. Right now, we're working in a project in Asia with a huge group. They have 12 factories, and they claim to be burning over 4,000 tons of cotton every year, which is the leftovers when they cut. It's really a big problem. I mean, the other day, there was the cover of Ecoalf News. It was very depressing because it was probably the biggest organic cotton company burning 50,000 acres in Ethiopia to make new plantations for cotton. So it was a huge forest with 11 different villages inside. So we're producing more and more and more and burning at the same time more and more and more. Okay, and this is wool, probably the easiest thing to recycle. It's been recycled for many, many years. There's even a city in Italy called Prato, which is famous for recycling the wool. Okay, and I'm going to talk very briefly, this is probably our most ambitious project, Upcycling the Oceans. This started because one day we were contacted by, the government of the north of Spain, of País Basque, and they said, Javier, why are you recycling the nets in Korea? Why don't you recycle them in Spain? We're a fisherman country. And I said, well, because the problem is not the nets. The problem is the technology to convert those nets into what I want, and I found it in Korea. I said, okay, but why don't we start a project in Spain and we see if we can do the same thing. So we started the project. And one day, one fisherman in the port said, Javier, you should come out and fish with me and see how much waste gets caught in the nets every time we go out and fish. So I went out and fished with him, and it's true. Every time they pull up the nets, unfortunately, there's a lot of waste. So we said, okay, let's do something about it. Because I always say, I don't want Ecoalf to be a storytelling company. I want Ecoalf to be a story-doing company. There's too many people telling stories, and I think it's about time we start doing them, which is very important. So we said, okay, how can we do it? And so we started reading, and we started understanding that 75% of the waste is in the bottom of the ocean, it's not in the surface. So how could we take that away from the bottom? Okay, so the fishermen, through the trolling boats. So we started investigating, okay, where's more trolling boats in Spain? And we discovered that it was in the East Coast. Okay, so I contacted a fisherman there in the East Coast, in a port called Villajoyosa, and I convinced him to let me put 3 containers and 3 boats. And convince those fishermen, instead of throwing that waste again to the ocean, put it in those containers, take it back to the port, I would collect it, and I would start seeing if I was able to make yarn with that waste. No? Right now, I mean, we're going to finish 2018 with over 3,000 fishermen involved, over 250 tons taken out of the ocean this year, which we're recycling 80% of what we take out. We're only recycling 10%, which is the plastic bottles, but another 70% is being fully recycled. So all the aluminum, all the glass, all the polypropylene, and all the polyethylene. We're taking it to the recycling facilities, so it's been recycled. There's only, to be honest, 19% which we're not able to recycle. So that was a project we started right now. There's around 830 trolling boats in Spain, so we're practically working with all of them. This is very important, which I always say. We don't pay the fishermen. Okay? This is something very important because I always like to say it. And this is something it's important because the European community started a project 3 years ago, which was called Fish for Litter, which they paid the fishermen. It was a trial test in France to pay the fishermen for every kilo of waste they took out of the ocean. When the money stopped, after 7 months, the fishermen stopped. Never took a single kilo away. So I always tell the fishermen in Spain, this is up to you. You can fish the waste, throw it again back to the ocean, you fish it again today, you throw it again, you fish it again, or you put it in a container and take it to the port, where I will do all the rest of the work. It's up to you. Do whatever you want. And it's been amazing. So we were recording this last Monday with BBC in one of the ports, and it's amazing. You see all the trolling boats come in the afternoon, they take the trolling, boom, everything. And they're doing it because they want. As I always say, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. It's up to you. It's your choice. Okay, and then we were contacted 2 years ago. I was giving a conference in Sustainable Brands Istanbul, and there was somebody from the government of Thailand, and they said, wow, we have a big problem in Thailand. Javier, would you help us do something there? So I went to Thailand, and we signed this agreement with the Environment Ministry and the Ministry of Tourism, and we started a 3-year project. So we're already operating in Rayong, Koh Tao, and Phuket, and we'll start now in Samui. Basically here, we're not only working with the fishermen, but also with the Scuba Diving Association, which is huge. Only Koh Tao gives over 300 diving PADI certificates per year, and with the beach cleaning associations. The problem in Thailand is Spanish problem multiplied by 20. You can't imagine. We made a trial test the other day in Phuket with 1,000 divers. We took 7.5 tons of waste in 1 day out of the ocean. 7.5 kilos per diver in a quite small area. You go to Samui, for example, they have a few landfills, but I visited one which has over 400,000 tons of waste accumulated, 300 more every day. But the problem is that it's on top of a hill, like 800 meters from the ocean. Every time the rainy season comes, everything starts coming out. I had the chance the other day from Koh Tao to mainland to see, there's like a motorway, which is like 4 meters width, and all the way from Koh Tao to mainland. Which, I mean, the currents are throwing the waste into the coral reef. The coral reef is stopping it, and it's a highway. You can see it. And they don't know what to do. It keeps on more plastic every day, more tourists. They're claiming right now in Thailand that they have a mismanagement of 80% of the waste they create. And of the 20% they're collecting, they're only recycling 2%. So imagine what that means, no? And we're probably now starting a huge project in Philippines with the Thowell Foundation, which is a huge project. I went to Philippines also, they have the same problem. But the more and more we read, we understand that, okay, we might take 250 tons out of the ocean, but if 8 million come in every year, we'll never stop. So we have to start working where that's coming from, and that's coming from the rivers. The rivers are throwing that 70% of that waste into the ocean. There's huge rivers in Philippines. It rains a lot, and people are throwing a lot of that waste into the rivers. In India, it's the same problem. So we're starting to work in a project and creating a huge R&D program with nets, see how we can stop that plastic from the surface and from the bottom, leaving the fish come through, and stop it before it comes to the ocean. I'm just going to put, well, this is the way we do it, but I think it's easier if I put a video. It's a 1-minute video, and you see how this works in Spain.
A strange and harmful species has colonized our oceans. Marine debris. Every year, more than 6 million tons of garbage is thrown into the sea, silently polluting every square meter of the ocean and killing even more marine species than climate change affects. If we continue polluting at this rate, the amount of debris in the ocean will duplicate in the next 10 years. We have to change the way we interact with nature and find solutions that ensure our planet's life expectancy. At Ecoalf, we try to do things differently, which is the reason why we founded Upcycling the Oceans, a revolutionary project meant to be carried out also in other parts of the world. Its main goal? Collecting the trash that's destroying the Mediterranean Sea and turning it into top-quality thread. To do this, we're relying on years of intensive research and development, as well as the support of those that are more familiar with these waters, the fishermen of Levante. Together, we recover 1 ton of trash per day, giving plastic a second chance. Otherwise, it would continue to float in the ocean for an unimaginable amount of years, destroying our ecosystem. There's too much at stake to continue to stand by and do nothing about it. This is the reason why we created the Ecoalf Foundation. Apart from cleaning marine debris, we also raise public awareness on the abuse of natural resources. We can't keep on living on this planet as if we had another one to go to.
Okay, and now I'm going to, there's another video, also quite short, which explains how we transform that waste into fabric. Those were the first plastic bottles from the bottom of the ocean. Basically, the quality of our yarn depends on the quality of the waste. And the quality of the waste at the bottom of the ocean is much worse than at land. Here we can recycle a plastic bottle 1 month after you've drunk the water. In the ocean, perhaps that plastic bottle has been there for 8 years. There's these plastic bottles, we clean them up, we convert them into flakes, pellets, yarn, fabric. Okay, through that, with the yarn from the ocean, we're doing a lot of collections. I mean, all the new swimwear collection has been done with the waste from the bottom of Phuket. We're doing trousers. This is mixed also with the yarn from the bottom of the ocean. But then we're launching this program right now for next year. It's coming out in September, which for us has been a huge R&D program because it's what we call a zero waste shoe. Basically, it's done with 3 pieces. There's no waste because all the top is knitting, 100% recycled from those plastic bottles from the bottom of the ocean. There's no waste. It's done by computer. It creates zero waste. And all the outsole is made by algae. So it's the algae that also get caught in the nets, and it's in places where it's creating damage. Okay, and this is it. I mean, okay. And then just to finish, we have been right now we're a B Corp certificate company, which I don't know if you know what a certified B Corporation is, but there's basically it's probably the hardest sustainable certified you can get in the world. And it's, as they say, it's not the best companies in the world, but the best companies for the world. So we've been audited for 1.5 years. Auditing everything we do, all the processes, what do we pay our factories, what dyes do we use, what's our packaging, what are our materials, everything. And of course, the GRS, which is the Global Recycle Standard, all the process we do is certified by GRS. And that's it. Thank you very much.